What's up, everybody? This is Coach Sharf. Welcome back to my Algebra 2 slash Advanced Algebra notes and what's the best way to say it? Notes and directions videos, I guess. Again, mostly, these are focusing on these new tasks that the state provided us this year. The first video was more basically, giving y'all the answers. Like I said, everybody's trying to get settled and people moving class to class. This one, I'm going to provide you a guide for what you need. Some stuff, I will write down what you need to have down. Some stuff's a guide, but you're actually going to have to do it on your own. Okay. So this is our second lesson in Unit 1, our statistics unit for the year. All right, so just looking over this. In class I had 20. I'd see how many that is. Decent amount y'all turned in your first homework assignment. Let's go to first period. Let's go to assignments. Let's go to framework for statistical reasoning. So I'm gonna click on the worksheets. Y'all aren't really gonna see the teacher guidance for this one. Y'all are gonna see, mostly the worksheets, and we'll talk about them. So the framework for statistical reasoning, we will look at it actually at the beginning of the second video. That's what this lesson is all about. Basically, what I've said in class is it's almost taking the scientific method approach to collecting data. Okay. You got to ask questions to get the data that you need, which would be like your hypothesis in the scientific method. You got to perform a task to collect your data, however you're going to collect. You take a poll, you observe something, and write down the statistics, whatever. Like you would if you were running an experiment with the scientific method. Analyze your data. So see the data you got back, if it fits the questions that you're trying to answer. If there's some things you need to, again, scientific experiments, some things you need to tweak and run the experiment again. With our method, maybe the answers you got didn't quite fit what you're looking for in terms of your questions. So you might need to go back and tweak the questions that you asked and ask them again. The last part is interpret. Once you got all the data and you're satisfied with it, you got to say what it means. In scientific method, once you get all the data, you're satisfied with it. Same thing. You got to, basically it's compared to your hypothesis. Did I get enough to prove my hypothesis correct? Did I get enough to prove it incorrect? What does it mean? All right. So diagnostic activity, the first one. What are my classmates like? Use the definitions below to help you complete the task. Before we even get to the definitions, what are my classmates like? I posed this question to all 6 classes. It's a very broad question. Okay. What are my classmates like? No context, nothing. Very broad question. You had to kind of pry it out of some of y'all. A couple of the classes pretty much got it from the jump. Y'all are describing your classmates, but you're just giving adjectives. They're cool. They all right. They're pretty quiet so far. Things like that. Which is telling me what your classmates are like. You answered the question. But if I'm trying to gather data for whatever reason I'm trying to gather data, a few adjectives, that's not going to tell me anything. So I need to refine that question. What are some things you want to know about your classmates? What are some of their characteristics? Things like that, which I'll see in a second. So use the definitions below to help you complete this first task. Individuals, people, or objects described by a set of data. We're going to use it with the activity. If you haven't done all yet at the end of this, y'all are actually doing something similar to what we're about to do. It gives you the individuals. With us, it does not actually give us individuals. It's just 10 random people. So we'll talk about it in a second, but it's the people that you're talking about, okay? Or the objects. variables, any characteristic of an individual. So what describes, again, I know I said adjectives, but beyond an adjective, what describes a person that we can see? A physical characteristic, a GPA that describes them, things like that. Categorical, data that may be divided into groups. So again, these are what I call more descriptors. You are a male, you have brown hair, you are wearing a black shirt, you are wearing gray shoes. Things that can be broken down into categories, the actual descriptors, more or less of your physical appearance, or for lack of a better term, your classification, which we'll see in a second. Quantitative, data can be either counted or compared on numeric scale, numeric, quantitative, quantity, basically things you can measure with numbers. Okay. So on a first day of a statistics class, the instructor gave all 40 students in the class a survey. The table shows data from the first 10 students on the class roster. In your group, discuss and answer the following. Identify the individuals in this data set. So what I did for each class is I just read the initials of the first 10 people off of everybody's roster. Okay. This might take me a minute because I'm actually going to try to run through this instead. What I'm going to do for the sake of the video, if you did not get this, if you want to actually get, if you have a friend in your class and you miss this, and you want to actually get what I use for your class, go for it. But I'm going to do the 10 initials. I'm going to try to go in alphabetical order for the math department. This might be more tricky than I'm imagining. Trying to run through it in my head. I do believe Miss Belk would be first. So I can put down DB. Nope. Scratch that. Well, I already put it. So if you already read, that's fine. Mr. Algani would actually be first. So Dr. Algani, Miss Belk. Going through in my head. Mr. Barnett. Barnett would actually have been before Belk too. Mr. Barnett. Coach Caraway. Mr. Davis. Mrs. Davis. Again, she's in here third period if you have me third period. That's 6. Ms. Fakunle, I believe, would be next. E-H I-J-K-L, Mr. Luck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I believe it would be the Mahajan sisters. Next. So there we go. There's your 10 initials that y'all can write down. Okay. Number 2. Well, before we get number 2, that's not even number 2. Excuse me. That's 1A. So 1A is the initials. 1B. Before we get to 1B, you need to look at this chart of data. That's what we're going to constantly refer back to. So these are, and I know I just did initials of teachers, but pretend it was the first 10 people of your class. These are characteristics about them. First person is a female, classified as a junior, has a 3.2 GPA, pulse rate is 72, is right-handed. It says children and family, so I guess it's 3 total, including her. It doesn't specifically say siblings, but, irrelevant either way. Amount of homework that this person did last night was between 0 and 14 minutes. This person got 10 hours of sleep last night, and I'm kind of jealous of that person. And if they have a smartphone, they do. Okay. So again, you need to, if you're watching this video, maybe actually go pull this up in Canvas. You can leave it as reference. Maybe do a split screen thing where you leave that chart up as reference while you're watching this video. Okay. List the variables in this data set and classify them as either categorical or quantitative. List them as either categorical or quantitative. This one I want you to do on your own. The variables, that's why I went over the vocab. The variables are the characteristics. So I will tell you, the variables are everything up here in blue. The variables are everything up here in blue. So I'm going to start with sex. Again, if you want to put gender, you can do that. So for 1B, you're going to do this table. Again, if you don't want to do a bigger table like this, you can either do a smaller T-chart. That is way crooked. Kind of drawing on a tab on the inside here. That's better. You either just do a 2-column T-chart instead of essentially a 4-column chart, 2 and 2, or a couple people in first period did this. I don't know how many continued it. You could put the variable, the first one was sex or gender, in parentheses. You can then classify it, comma, put the next one, which was class. And then I believe GPA was third. So you can write it however you want to. If you just want to copy this table, you can do that. So the 9 variables were the things in blue up top. So you need to write those. Again, I'll do the first few. You can fill in the rest. Sex, class, GPA, fill in the rest. Now for classification, either categorical or quantitative. You don't have to write the words out every time necessarily, but you're either going to put C or G, depending. If it's categorical, you're going to put C. If it's quantitative, you're going to put, I keep saying G instead of Q. Q. I don't know why I keep doing that. C instead of Q. Okay. So sex. Remember, categorical, we divide up into categories. Quantitative, we can measure with numbers.
With a teacher, coach, or
the
school administrator, please exit the building at this time. Again, if you're not with a teacher, coach, or school administrator, you must exit the building at this time. Please be safe, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Change it up, boss. All right. So categorical, again, I listed off some things. If you're talking hair color, brown hair, black hair, what color clothes they're wearing, what color eyes somebody has, whatever. So again, more of a physical descriptor. Quantitative is something that can be measured with a number. So again, I'll start with sex, gender, whatever you want to say. It's going to be male or female. So that would be categorical. So you could put AC. Class, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, would still be categorical. GPA is measured with numbers, so that would obviously be quantitative. I'm going to do lowercase q. If you want to do a capital Q, you can. But y'all got to do the rest. So the other 6 variables you need to list out and classify them. All right. Choose one of the categorical variables and create a bar chart. This is 1C. This is 1C. If you want to keep doing that, if you just put number 1 and you put A, B, and C, that's okay. Choose one of the categorical variables and create a bar chart. Okay. You have to pick one. I'm going to go back over the example I did in class. So I said hair color, which obviously is not from your chart. You're going to have to pick one of your own. Okay. So when you're doing a bar graph, some of y'all didn't remember what it looked like. It's a 2-axis graph. When we did the dot plots in the first lesson, we just had the x-axis. Now we got to throw the y-axis in here as well. So we're going to say someone has black hair, brown hair, red hair, blonde hair, or In honor of Coach Sharf, we'll put Mr. Clean. So let's say, I don't remember the exact numbers I used in class, and the order of these might have been different, but let's say there's 5 people with black hair. You can shade that in if you want to. You don't necessarily have to. 2 with brown hair. 1 with red hair. 4. It's almost all the way up to 5. So, all right, so we're going to say that's 4, though. 4 with blonde hair. And then Coach Sharf in the Mr. Clean category. So your categorical variable goes up here. You have to write it. Each option for that category, black hair, brown hair, red hair, blonde hair, Mr. Clean. We're going the natural hair colors. We're not talking about anybody dyed their hair pink or green or whatever. So the natural hair colors. Then the quantity, how many people have black hair. In your table, how many people are males, how many people are juniors, whatever it is. Draw the bar up that high. Again, it might be more than 5. That's just kind of what I fit on here. So it's not saying it's limited to 5. You got to look at your data. Draw your bar up there, individual bar. And again, shading it in. You don't necessarily have to, but you can do that. All right. So let's clear this out now. Now, number 2. Now you're going to choose one of the quantitative variables and create a box plot and list the 5-number summary. If you do not remember what a box plot is, also can be called a box and whisker plot. It basically is going to look like this, okay? At the very basics. Now we can add in a number line down here. You don't have to draw this yet. I'm going to show y'all how to actually put it in, but I'm just showing y'all an example for those who forget, okay? So it says a 5-number summary, which again, we'll talk about a little more shortly, but whatever number this is above would be your first number. Second, you would have a line going somewhere down the middle of the box. It's not necessarily going to be right down the middle. So I'll say here, that'd be your 3rd number. This would be your 4th number. That would be your 5th number. Variable selected. Again, I'm going to do one that's not on your chart. Number of pets. That was the one I said in class, and I went around the room and asked everybody the number of pets they have. Sketch the box plot below. So what we're actually going to do is, I don't remember if I still have it up. I don't believe I do, but I'm in your Canvas class. You clicked on the worksheet link, but here's the box plot maker. You're going to click on that. Okay. Title, whatever your quantitative variable is, you can type in here. It's not necessarily as important that you type this. You don't have to change anything else. Here, we're not going to put anything in names. A couple people were trying to type in there. But we're going to come right here where the data is. We're going to delete all of it. And now we're going to type in the data. So whatever numbers are in your quantitative category, you're going to type. So I'm doing number of pets. I'm just going to type in some random numbers. All right. So type in some random numbers. Again, you actually are taking numbers from that table. Now I'm going to click calculate. Let me scroll down a little bit so y'all can see it a little better. After you type them all in, you're going to click calculate. Okay. And our box plot has appeared up here. Let me see if I can move this. There we go. Our box plot has appeared up here. Okay. Again, it's very skewed just kind of the nature of the question. More people are probably going to say they have 0 or 1 pet than anything else. Most of the categories you have, the box is actually going to be kind of more towards the middle of the line. If you add this on, exclude outliers, turn that off. Okay. Again, this one, maybe somebody has a farm, it's kind of got the outlier. But I want y'all to turn it off because we want every piece of data. So if this was your thing, if this was your quantitative variable, I'm not say thing, let's use vocab. This is your quantitative variable. This is what you would sketch. Okay. Again, more of them are probably going to look more like this, and the box is actually going to be, more towards the center instead of all the way to the left. Whichever category you pick, though, you're going to type that in. Okay. Once you do this, do not exit out because we're about to use it again in a second. Type in your information, get your box plot, sketch it on your paper. So 2A was your category, 2B is your box plot. Let's sketch it down here. Now 2C, scroll to the bottom of the box plot maker and copy the 5-number summary. Minimum Q1, medium Q3, maximum. First of all, I will show you where that is. Go back to it. You see all this. You're going to go down. It is right here. Okay. Minimum Q1, median Q3, maximum. And this is actually without my outlier. If I click to exclude the outlier, let's see if that changes it. It does change a little bit. Okay. So, keep it the same. Don't have the outliers on here, or don't exclude the outliers here, and then click and take it off for the 5-number summary. If you leave it like this, excluding the outliers, keep it the same for down here. Okay. So just say a refresher, all this 5-number summary is minimum, Q1, medium, Q3, maximum. All right. We can really show it actually. I want to take the outliers off just so we can illustrate the point. The minimum is our lowest value. Multiple people had 0 pets. The maximum is our highest. One person had 22 pets. The median is the number in the middle. Y'all know what the median is. We lined up our data from lowest to highest. It's the number in the middle. If there's not one single middle number, you take the 2 numbers that would be in the middle and average them, add them up, divide them by 2. And then Q1 and Q3, y'all can basically think of as, if you ever hear your growth get talked about in terms of percentiles at the doctor's office, or a test score get talked about in terms of percentiles. Q1 is the piece of data 25% of the way through. So if you start at the minimum, go down the list 25% of the way through, is Q1. Again, if you have to average 2 numbers to get Q1, you would do that. Median is in the middle, which is of course halfway in the middle, 50%. Q3 is 3/4 of the way, 75% of the way through your list of data. So that's really all it is. Just it's a graphical representation of, if I put my numbers in order and I said this is the lowest number, this is 1/4 of the way through, this is halfway through, I'm going lowest to highest. On my end, it's probably looking reverse to y'all. So lowest number, 1/4 of the way through, halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, whole way through. So that's all it is, and it just represents in graphical form. Okay, so you'd write that down for 2C. 2C. And then 2D. I still let this sketch up here for a reason. I told y'all to made the comparison. I was trying to do the best way I could with your 5-number summary. So if you think about a fork, do not have one line around. If you think about a fork has 4 tines. Then there's 3 spaces in between those tines. So when I have a 5-number summary, there's 4 spaces in between my 5 numbers. Again, this number would be my minimum. This would be Q1. This would be my median. This number would be my Q3. And this number would be my maximum. So between median and Q1, there's a gap. Q1 and my median, a gap. My median in Q3, a gap. Q3 and my maximum, a gap. So there's 4 gaps. So each of those gaps really represents about 25% of our total data. 25%, 25%, and 25%, which of course adds up to 100% of our total data. So that's all this question is asking. So in between whichever points, what percentage of the data falls in between? So this is going to be 2D, and then number 1, you don't have to write the minimum and the maximum, you just write the percentage we're about to write. So 2D number 1, what percentage is between the minimum and the maximum? That's got to be 100%. Think about it. There's not going to be any part of my data, any number lower than my minimum number. There's not going to be any part of my data higher than my maximum number. It's got to all fall in between the minimum and the maximum. 100%. 25, 25, 25, 25 between the minimum and the maximum. I'll actually change colors here a little bit so y'all can see it. What about the minimum and the median? So between the minimum and the median, so from my lowest number to the halfway point, keep forgetting the camera split, obviously should be 50%. 25 and 25. So that's going to be 50%. Come on, Coach Sharf. 50%. There we go. The median and the maximum. So now, instead of the lowest number to the halfway point, now we've got halfway point to the biggest number. So that's going to be the other 50%. Okay? The top 50%. Q1 and Q3. Between Q1 and Q3. So between here and here. Between here and here. It's 25 and 25. So between Q1 and Q3 is still going to be 50% of our data. Okay? Q1 and Q3 can be referred to as the interquartile range. If y'all saw that in Algebra 1, the IQR, interquartile range. I don't know if we'll see it off the top of my head at any point throughout the rest of Unit 1. But it's that middle 50%, and it's the range, so it's not necessarily asking just about the middle 50%. It's saying if, you know, whatever your numbers were. I was trying to remember what y'all just had. I think it was, again, the number of pets thing's going to be off, but so let's not actually use that. But if Q1 was 4, Q3 was 13, it wants that range, 13 minus 4, which is 9. That would be my IQR, my interquartile range, between 4 and 13. So that's another thing y'all might see I referenced as, but again, in terms of breaking it down for your percentage of data, between Q1 and Q3, it's still going to be 50%. Lastly, I want red, let's get black. The minimum in Q3. So between the minimum and Q3, I've got 25, 25, 25, which is 75%. So that's the first assignment. Easy peasy, okay? First assignment for the first activity for this assignment. Let me rephrase. All right, that did take a little longer than I anticipated. I'm breaking these videos up. I'm trying to cut them at most 30 minutes if I can. Depends on the activity. I know the second video for the first lesson was a little longer. This one wound up being a little longer. I think it's right at about 30 minutes though. And then the second video for this might be a little longer. I'm trying to curtail it so you if you don't have the strategies to kind of sit through there and you know figure out what you're looking for question to question, you don't have to sit here for 45 minutes at a time. But you know, it happens. It's the best way for me to provide a chance for y'all to make up your work when y'all aren't here. So be on the lookout for the second video for this. I will try to get this. I'm recording this on Wednesday, the 23rd. I'm gonna let it save, and then I'll try to get it uploaded to YouTube after I get home. Hopefully get it posted tonight, and then we'll have to see if I can record the other video tonight. If not, it'll probably have to be tomorrow. If y'all got any questions, as always, send me a message on Remind. Until then, otherwise, I will see y'all in class.